Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning. So, Dr. Masiapati, when we were talking yesterday, and we said, amongst others, that the members of BMA would be in uniform. I also tried my best to be in uniform. So, colleagues, thank you very much, really, for this opportunity. I'm really pleased that, as the Commissioner indicated, that we are really meeting in a very different context. And the context that says, let's work together to stamp out the border management and immigration, corruption, maladministration, and malpractices. We really call on all of you. We call on all of you to work together and collaborate to ensure that we do exactly that. Let me acknowledge the Director General of the Department of Home Affairs, Director General Makode, of course the Commissioner of Border Management Authority, Commissioner Masiapati, the Commissioner, Department of Correctional Services in his absence, and of course all those who are representing him. Representatives of the South African Revenue Service, SANPARKS, IDEC, SSA, SAPS, and all other agencies of government. And of course all the representatives from the cluster. Representatives of the organized labor, they've already been mentioned, from SAPO, from POPCRU, from PSA, and from NEHAU. We need all hands on deck, all shoulders to the wheel, to ensure that we fight this with this scourge. Civil society that's present here, non-governmental organizations, and media, distinguished guests, and of course all ladies and gentlemen here. It is a pleasure and honor for me to be part of this high-level awareness campaign against fraud and corruption in the border and immigration sector. This campaign comes at an opportune time when the whole world is observing the International Awareness Week that the Commissioner referred to. But we also host this awareness program after we've just ended the meetings of the G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group, where we, amongst others, also emphasized the inclusion aspect, including state and non-state parties in the fight against corruption, maladministration, and malpractice. It's receiving serious attention because it takes all of us to fight this scourge. We're excited to join the global efforts, as I indicated, to minimize the impact of fraud and corruption by promoting education and awareness on this important subject. As we all know, fraud and corruption as forms of organized crime have become endemic globally. Those who commit them are daring and brazen. So we need to really start putting in place measures to be proactive in this regard, and really work together to prevent. We know that it impacts negatively on service delivery, human and socio-economic development, job creation, public trust in government, as well as investor confidence in the country. Corruption manifests in all spheres of society and occurs in different sectors and or industries. Corruption, having permeated various sectors and or industries, poses a threat to national security. We need not say that even more relating to border management corruption that afflicts our sector. It really threatens national security. It undermines the rule of law and institutions vital to ensure the centrality of the state as a protector and promoter of the rights of citizens. There is a need to unify anti-corruption efforts across sectors to address the scourge of corruption and to demonstrate the commitment of government, business, and civil society to prevent and combat corruption. So Mr. Khanyaho indicates that we've got, and the Commissioner also mentioned that shortly after the launch of the Border Management Authority, he reached out. He reached out and indicated the need that we need to really, really work together in the prevention and fighting of corruption in this sector. So based on the national anti-corruption strategy that we have as a country, that has identified that role, that initiative, that important aspect of working together to collaborate and prevent corruption, maladministration, and malpractices. We have worked very hard to ensure that we implement that national anti-corruption strategy. As part of that strategy, the strategy calls on government to lift up the initiatives of prevention of corruption, maladministration, and malpractice. So as a result of that, if you've read that strategy, it's got about 6 pillars. The 6th pillar is really the one that calls us to put measures in place to prevent corruption and fight corruption in the vulnerable sectors. It uses the words vulnerable sectors. But as we all know, that all sectors, in fact, in public or private, they're all vulnerable to corruption. We've seen it in various investigations that we conduct. But we then decided that as the National Anti-Corruption Strategy also enjoins us to adopt the whole of society and the whole of government approach. That is the inclusion that I spoke about, including every member of the society and business, all of sectors of the society to be included. We then took this approach, identified those vulnerable sectors where we can implement this approach. Right? The approach of including everyone. So as we indicate that a vulnerable or a high sector is regarded as an area, sector, or institution with a high risk or specific vulnerability to the manifestation of corruption or unethical practices or activities. So together with all other members in the cluster, we sat down and conducted a vulnerable sector, all those sectors vulnerable to corruption, that we could start off and implement the approach of including state and non-state parties. We did that and identified all those sectors that include, among others, the health sector, and we started with the health sector and created the Health Sector Anti-Corruption Forum. That forum was launched by the President himself because he really wanted to give us the direction in terms of how to deal with vulnerable sectors. And as we speak today, that sector has really, really entrenched the whole of government and the whole of society approach. That was followed by local government. It was followed by infrastructure built. Now, the Border and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum followed. And this was also followed by now the Water Sector Anti-Corruption Forum. Because all of this we were reached out either by accounting officers, as was the case in the Border Management Authority, and I also include the Director General of Home Affairs, Director General Makode, who really supported us in this process of establishing the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Authority, the Anti-Corruption Forum. We are pleased that this forum is really underway, is functioning. Amongst others, is ready to galvanize and ensure that the reactive part of the fight against corruption, which we are all aware of, which includes reporting of incidents of corruption, and we are pleased that where those were identified in the border management space, action was taken without delay. We are pleased about that because we require a border management and immigration sector that is free of corruption if we are to fight this corruption successfully. So as I indicated, the Border and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum was established and formally launched by the Minister of Home Affairs on the 25th of March 2025. This forum is chaired by the Special Investigating Unit, and it is mandated to foster multi-stakeholder collaboration. If you look at us today, it is really an indication and a demonstration that we should continue to really foster the multi-stakeholder approach in the fight against corruption. As I indicated, that the other important part, over and above the reactive part, which includes reporting incidents of corruption, making sure that they are addressed, and ensuring that there's consequence management, there is also an important part which really, amongst others, brings us here together today. And I'll come back to that, which is the prevention part. To be proactive, it's really, enjoining all of us to put our efforts together. Now, key stakeholders in this forum, because it is an inclusive forum, it includes, amongst others, law enforcement agencies, civil society, organized labor, public and private sectors. We continue to reach out to all other stakeholders to ensure that they form part of this forum. We want to include the youth, we want to include all other sectors to ensure that they also form part. Recently we reached out to the religious sector because we spoke to them on their role in ensuring that they play a role in the anti-corruption. We also reached out to the traditional leaders because we want to really be inclusive. So we are going to continue to make sure that we reach out. Now, since the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum was formed, there has been various investigations based on the incidents that were reported, and I'm really glad that those incidents are receiving and have received attention. We really make no means of ensuring that there's consequence management. But that part is also very important because there has been a measure of impunity. I've said those who commit acts of corruption are brazen and daring. They dare us. And they're brazen in nature. So we need to make sure that we are fit for purpose. We are ready to really confront them head on, without fear, without prejudice, and to ensure that we bring out the consequences that are required. We're not going to go deep and in details in terms of some of the investigations. The Hawks and the Border Management Authority themselves, they're doing investigations in their own right. The Department of Home Affairs has got investigations in their own right, SIU, the Hawks, and all other agencies. But I need to just spend a few minutes around some of the investigations that we are doing. The Director General of Home Affairs reached out together with the Minister at the time, Minister Mothibi, and indicated that they would really want us to come and assist after they had done some internal investigations. And really that internal investigation already revealed that there's quite a lot of incidents of corruption in the Home Affairs, immigration, and border management space. So we then approached the President, who signed a Proclamation 154 of 2024 to investigate all those areas in this space without really going into them in detail. And that investigation is still underway. We are really pleased, DG, thank you for your support. Thank you to Commissioner for your support. That report, we are planning, DG, and we will engage with you and the Commissioner. We are planning to release an interim report. I was talking to Mr. Khanyafo, who helps us to plan that. We are planning to release an interim report sometime in January, February, thereabout. We've just released the Tembisa interim report. We are going to release this in the same format, publicly, so that the public can know what's happening in this space and the kind of consequence management that's required, but of importance, the prevention that is underway in this space. So it is important that we continue to really ensure that all the efforts are put. But up to now, there has been quite a number of referrals to this Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum. About 274 criminal referrals have already been made to the forum, but all of those others have really been reached under the investigation, the various investigations. So amongst others, we refer even officials that we pick up in this space, we refer them for disciplinary action. There's also some administrative referrals that we do, but of importance is where the state has lost money, we then approach the special tribunal to ensure that all the monies that have been lost are returned to the state. But in this space, it's very important at least to highlight some of the few. We have found that there's an abuse of our immigration processes. Let me put it that way. The asylum seeker process, we found that there's abuse in that. The visa process, we found that there's a whole lot of abuse in that. There is also another process that we have found. It's called traffic registration number. And you would think that this has got really to do with you registering a car and so on. This area is abused. The traffic registration number, just in brief, is something that's given for somebody who's not a South African national, having got into the country, legally or illegally. They then approach the Department of Transport to issue them with this traffic register number, right? We have found, and of course it happens with the collusion of the Department of Transport officials. This TRN, traffic register number, has been given to, as at the time when we spoke, DG, with the minister, which was sometime last year, I think there was an amount of about 3 million of these TRNs that were given to various non-nationals. Non-nationals, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Mozambique, all of those. And guess what? We found that all this have been issued out irregular. And we would like to ensure, DG, we will inform you. And when we make those formal referrals, we will implore the department to revoke, in fact the Department of Transport, to revoke all of those TRNs. But the trick is, whoever is in possession of this TRN is somewhere in the country. So to trace them is going to be a mammoth task, right? So we'll have to work with the police. We'll have to work, of course, with Home Affairs to ensure that all those TRNs are listed, almost like blacklisting them, so that when Operation Chanela or any other operations are conducted and they are picked up, we'll have to work with the banks, because this TRN enables you to do banking transactions, to register the number. We've got a case in point that we were investigating in Northwest, right? And I can say this because that's public. Someone who came from Zimbabwe illegally, I can't remember his name, but he was Mpofu. That's right. Yeah, it has been publicized, so I can name it. He was employed at the Northwest Development Corporation, right, as a chief financial officer, right, in charge of the finances of the corporation, right. But he had also used this traffic register number, right, which we have found to be irregular. It's just one example. There's a whole lot, and when you release the report, the public will get to know that this system is so abused that we need urgent attention. But the TRN is not only the area that's abused. The visa system on all forms of visa, right? Whether it's a study visa or any other kind of visa, right? Amongst others, and there are my colleagues who are investigating in this space there. When they give us an information and an update, we found that people come here and they apply for visas and they get granted. But guess what? They come in here if in possession of a study visa, but they never get to study. Right? They never get to study, and we found that one who got here with a study visa bought a whole range of properties in the country. And then we say, what kind of student is this one? So when we dive deep, we found that there's a whole number of those. Most of them are using them for various colleagues. In fact, we have met with the presidency on this, and we have expressed ourselves, and we have said it to the JCPS, and we have said it to the Department of Home Affairs, that this is country risk number one. This is country risk number one. And I say so because we've got the data that's telling us that. Right? We are data driven when we do our work. Right? This is country risk number one. If you've got a different view, please talk to me later on. Right? This risk permeates all the sectors of government. Health, education, all others. This risk is a common risk in those areas. So it is very important that we pick up really, and that's why we're meeting as we're doing today. It's because, amongst others, we want to raise awareness, colleagues, that let us work together, right? We've got a country to protect, we've got the sovereignty to protect. And if we don't raise this awareness and ensure that those who access our borders do so legally, right? We've got no issue with anybody who enters our country and enters legally. The illegal transactions, illicit goods, illicit entries and all of this, those are the ones that we want to prevent. So colleagues, I can go on and on, but just really be on the watch as we will be releasing a detailed report in this regard. I'd like to just spend some time on the prevention work. This is really, that's close to our hearts, the Commissioner and the DG and all others, right? The prevention is something that would, enable us not to be running around and investigating and all of that, if we do it effectively, right? So as part of this prevention work, we have now led the space and developed what's called National Corruption Risk Management and Prevention Framework, right? That framework is still going through the governance process of government. It will probably still reach cabinet for sign-off, because it's a very important part of the national anti-corruption strategy that I referred to. This prevention framework is very critical. I've got our colleague there who's sitting there, Ms. Subramani. If you can just raise your hand. If you want to understand the details, speak to her. But she's got a team of members in the Immigration and Border Management Anti-Corruption Authority, a team coming from Border Management Authority, a team coming from Home Affairs, a team coming from civil society, business, and so on. So we've galvanized this initiative so that we lift up the bar on the prevention side and the awareness side, right? So it is really important that today before today and beyond today, that we continue. So there's going to be a heightened risk assessment as part of this prevention framework. The risk assessments are very important. As you know, in every business, if you don't want to be caught unaware, you have to do an effective risk management, isn't it? So there's going to be heightened risk assessments, and as part of those risk assessments, we will identify the risks that are prevalent or are attendant in our business processes of border management authority, home affairs, and dare I say also include the South African Revenue Service, the police, and all of those activities at the border post. Right? And once we've identified all those risks, of course we will expect to mitigate those risks. Right? Some of the actions that we will take, of course, will attract costs, but we'll have to cost the mitigations. But if we have to mitigate and really compare the cost of mitigation plans against the risks against the sovereignty of our country, it's worth spending and ensuring that we have those controls improved. Under this framework, there will also be a real focus on integrity checks, right? Integrity checks, which are very important. Remember, those are also proactive. Integrity checks on all of us, all of us who are already employed and those who are coming in, the new recruits. Integrity checks, there's going to be heightened lifestyle audits. As you know, integrity checks and lifestyle audits are a very important tool to ensure that we continue, to really do a check of whether there are, those who are key risks, right? So we will do that, the vetting process, and there's going to be heightened awareness programs. Awareness programs like the ones that we will have today, or that we're having today. We are really pleased. We should acknowledge and really say to the Correctional Services Department, we really appreciate your support. We really appreciate, and I'm aware that you've really gone to an extent, but this is a very important extent for all of us, right? For all of us, it's a very important extent where you have taken, our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated, but of course they will also indicate, that the experience, and we all know that the experience to be incarcerated is not good, right? But we need to work with them, and that's why as a country we adopted the word, correctional services, because it's got to be corrective in nature, right? We all make mistakes, right? But those mistakes have to be corrected, and as you get out of the correctional services, you need to be, a member of the society that contributes to the economic development of the country. We are really pleased, and thank you very much. We look forward to really that awareness program. The Commissioner mentioned the values. It's important that we deliver a value-based service across all government services, but in particular in the Border Management Authority, and of course in the Home Affairs space. As I conclude, the country has made a steady progress in the fight against corruption. However, it has become evident that the reactive approach to the fight against corruption should be augmented by a proactive approach, which is the prevention side. A risk-based approach, as I said, there's going to be heightened risk management. A risk-based approach that prioritizes sectors that are most vulnerable to corruption should be supported by all stakeholders, as envisaged in the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. A multi-stakeholder collaboration in the fight against corruption has really proven to be effective. This has been demonstrated by several anti-corruption forums that I've mentioned, and we really implore and thank everyone for the participation. The focus is now on really shifting to corruption prevention and, of course, on the reactive side, consequence management that emerge from various investigations. So we will be working with all of you to ensure that we direct all these prevention activities, as I indicated, from now on, going forward. I would like to stop here and say thank you very much for your attention.